This is a special podcast presentation from 700WLW.com. This is Doc Thompson On Demand.
About 10:06 this morning, we'll talk to Mo about the Bengals. And by the way, Mo Sloney and me, we have started the 700 WLW restaurant review, where every week or so we go out to a local establishment and then we give a review. Now, our review is online at 700WLW.com. Right now, you can go there on my blog and check it out. But after I talk Bengals with Mo, we'll talk a little bit about El Pueblo and our experience this week. Best headlines of the week coming up at 10:52. We do that every Friday about 10:52. JCPenney has pulled a shirt off of their website. The shirt is for girls, and it says, "I'm too pretty to do homework, so my brother has to do it for me." They pulled it off their website because there were a bunch of people that were pretty upset by that. "I'm too pretty to do homework, so my brother has to do it for me." Is that troubling? I mean, I could see the humor, and it's kind of funny. But is it that troubling? A lot of people were pretty upset about it. Lisa Richards joins me now. She's the co-founder of WFS, Women Fighting Sexism. How are you, Lisa?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing fine. Did you find that shirt troubling?
I do. I find it very troubling for a number of reasons. It's just the message that it's sending to our youth. It not only affects the young girls, it also affects the way the boys will grow up to treat these girls as women. And I find it very, very disturbing.
You think that shirt saying, "I'm too pretty to do homework, so my brother has to do it for me," will affect the way boys grow up to treat girls?
Yes, I do. I feel that it makes, boys resent girls because it seems to be like they're sending the message that we are just going to have fun and you guys are going to do all the work. And I also feel that, there's another side of this that I feel affects young girls who maybe wouldn't wear that shirt, whose parents wouldn't buy that shirt. I feel that it makes them feel inferior to those prettier girls who do wear those type of that type of clothing. And so it's a self-esteem issue for everyone around. And I think it's horrible for anyone to put that on a child.
Well, I mean, first of all, you get it's a joke. I mean, they're being goofy. It's not like they're taking it serious.
Well, who's to say they're not? I feel that joke is very inappropriate, and I don't think it's a bit funny at all. I truly don't.
Well, the thing is, though, I mean, if you don't find it funny, that's okay. But, I mean, I don't think many parents would say, "Oh, you're the pretty one, so it's okay if your brother does your homework for you." I mean, I don't think there's a lot of parents that are going to say, "Go ahead and wear a shirt advertising that."
Well, you're probably right. However, if they buy that shirt and they think it's great, then it is a big joke, and it turns into, "Oh, that's so funny," and then it's attention. It's negative attention. And I think that's what a lot of the problem is. Boys will see a girl wear that shirt, and they'll be like, "Oh, she must be pretty dumb," and so they'll think automatically, "I can take advantage of her." And I think that's the message that it sends.
So you really think just by it saying that people are actually going to think the girl is dumb then?
It happens.
I would think that there's people out there that would say, "Okay, it's a joke. I don't agree with the joke or not, but
we have to stop this somewhere. We have to stop the message being sent that women are inferior, that women don't have to do anything, that they can just sit around and let men do whatever they want, say whatever they want, feel however they want. It has to stop somewhere. And clothing and shirts and promotions like this is what gets the ball rolling. This is the negative effect of all of it, and it has to stop somewhere.
See, don't you think and I agree with you on self-esteem, absolutely, whether you're male or female, as a child growing up, if you do not have proper self-esteem, if you do not have confidence in yourself, then you're going to be in trouble one way or the other. Either you're going to be victimized or you're going to be somebody who victimizes somebody else. One of the two. But I think most of that comes from parents. I wouldn't say clothing that is making a joke is going to be something that would affect you that much.
Well, I think it's society as a whole. I mean, a woman can't walk down the street without people making catcalls at her or making remarks about her, and all comes from clothing like this, and stuff like this that you see, whether it be on a folder or a backpack or a shirt. Anything that degrades a woman is going to force society to adapt that way of thinking also.
Wait a minute, though. The catcalls and that, I mean, I got to differ with you on there. If women didn't want them, they wouldn't dress the way they dress. There are plenty of women out there who dress provocatively specifically so guys will check them out. I mean, that's the point.
And why do they dress provocatively? Because in society at a young age, they were taught by wearing clothing that says, I'm too pretty, that that's the way they have to be. That's my point.
So they can't make that conscious choice as an adult to dress differently?
When you're a child and you're very impressionable, any conscious decision that you make is largely based on what goes on around you. And that's what I'm talking about. People will wear these shirts, I'm too pretty, girls rule, boys rule, stuff like that. I love my girls rock and all this stuff, and it just sends a message that we have no depth to us whatsoever and that men are superior to us. And it's not right, and it has to stop somewhere because men are certainly not superior to women.
What, certainly not superior to women?
Certainly not. Absolutely not.
No, the reason I say that, you kind of stressed it like you're saying that women are superior to men.
Well, that might be a personal opinion of mine. However, I think that equality is more, appropriate to say at this time.
Well, yeah, more appropriate to say, but you just said that may be the opinion of yours. So is it the opinion of yours that women are superior to men?
Well, I feel that way, yes, because I think it's high time that in our society roles are reversed.
So you really don't want people to be equal. You're doing the exact same thing that you claim to be fighting against. You want men to be in the tank or men to be victimized or men to be
no.
subjects.
I'm fighting against men doing that to women.
I see. So you really don't care about equality. You just want to be in the position that men were in traditionally.
Well, I think that it's about time that happens, to be honest. I think it's time that happens. I think it's time that we are looked upon as, perfectly capable of doing everything that a man can do.
Perfectly capable is fine, but what you're talking about, you're advocating screwing men over and saying men should be treated inferiorly.
I never said anything about screwing men over, but, if that happens along the way, it's certainly happened to women plenty over the years.
So you're seeing that as a justification?
That could be.
Do you realize?
All I know is that I understand that by promoting shirts like this and sayings like this, as I said before, it plants a seed in the mind of the young women of America that they're to be a certain way and act a certain way, which in turn makes men act a certain way towards them. And we have to stop this somehow.
So you're not really somebody who believes that when you become an adult, you're supposed to make good choices. When you become an adult, you're supposed to do the right thing and find a way to be a good, productive member of society, taking care of yourself and your family.
Well,
that you
in
are
a
just
perfect
you
world,
are
Doc,
wait a
that
minute.
would be the case.
Wait a minute.
In a perfect world, that would be the case.
That you are just the victim and controlled by maybe things you saw growing up or other things around you. That women can't make conscious choices not to wear, the low-cut shirt or whatever. They've just been victimized their whole life.
Well, you got to understand, any decisions that you make are, 90% of how you grew up and what you experienced in your childhood.
Yes, I understand that's very influential, but I don't buy that once you become an adult. Yes, it's influential and it does make an impact in your life, but as an adult, you can't just say, well, my parents did this, so I'll go out and rob a bank. We don't say that. We say, as an adult, it's your responsibility to still make good choices.
No, but it is on the same page as what you just said. My parents did this, so I'll go out and rob a bank. It's very easy to sit back and say, well, I experienced a lot of hard times in my youth, so I'm just going to grow up and just be a really, really good adult and just forget that all these things happened to me. That's not possible either. It might be for somebody in a perfect world, but you can't just let go of the things that have happened to you in the past. And men just, they're oppressive. They are oppressive to our society.
Do you see what you're doing, though?
What am I doing,
you're
Doc?
saying you don't want women to be victims.
I do not want women to be victims.
But you're playing the victim. Do you see what you're saying? Don't victimize us because we've been victims. We're victims. You can't have it both ways. And then you turn around and basically suggest that you would be okay with men being victims. I mean, at least you're kind of off your rocker on this.
Well, I don't think so. I mean, I just truly, I feel very strongly about
no, and
my
I understand that.
organization.
Listen, no, I understand. Listen, Lisa, I understand if you don't want to be a victim. No one should be victims, and certainly shouldn't be victims based on gender, race, or anything else. Of course. But to claim that you don't want to be a victim and then play the victim card is a little bit ridiculous, and it's certainly ridiculous to be okay with somebody else being a victim then. You know, one of the frustrating things is that when I see the advancements that women have made, that usually when feminists like you...
No, I'm going to stop you right there.
Yes.
This is what you just said. You said what frustrates you is looking at the advancements that women have made. Why does that frustrate you? Why did it frustrate you that women made any type of advancement at all?
No, you weren't letting me finish. I was going to make a point. What frustrates me about that is that those advancements are not made or recognized, rather, by feminists like you. That you don't recognize them.
I do.
You just want to keep playing the
recognize
victim card so you can get.
It's not enough.
No,
it's
listen.
not enough.
It's not enough because you are coveting what other people have. It's not about equality for you. You want the upper hand and you want to have what somebody else has. Otherwise, you would recognize those advancements. Exactly. You want them reversed as opposed to equality. That's the problem.
Well, I do want equality, but my organization is Women Fighting Sexism. So whatever the end result of that comes, if it means that women end up being superior to men, that's our goal.
Do you recognize that more women get college degrees now than men? More women go to college, and it's been that way for 20, 30 years?
Yeah, I do realize that. And I also realize it's very hard for anyone with a college degree to get a job nowadays. Yeah,
that's kind of not the point, though, for our discussion here. If you recognize that, are you out there fighting for equality, saying, listen, men are getting screwed over in college campuses, not as many are going to college?
No, but how many of those women, how many of their grades are legit? Or how many of them are because, like you said, they wore a low-cut shirt or they did this or they did that because society has planted that in their head that that's the way they have to do to advance.
Well, all right. Well, I appreciate your thoughts on this. I think you're pretty off on it if you're not talking about equality. I recognize that, and I think most people want that. But if you're saying if men lose along the way, you're okay with it, that's kind of silly.
I'm perfectly fine with it.
All right. Well, I appreciate you joining me. It's Lisa Richards from WFS Women Fighting Sexism. Appreciate it. All right, we'll get to some of your calls. You know what? I'll get some right now. A bunch of people want to chime in. Let's go to Loveland Butch here on 700 WLW.
Hey, Doc, I think I speak for the majority of Cincinnati when I say that chick is off her rocker.
I think that's...
She's dead wrong. Look, this whole thing, this is how society's been for thousands of years. Every parent knows when they have the ugly kid, it's not going to change. And look, looks do matter. The whole personality thing matters. But this has been going on for thousands of years. Alexander the Great wasn't shacking up with the ugly chick. He was going after the good-looking girl. That stuff's going to change.
So you're saying that I'm too pretty to do homework, so my brother does it for me, a shirt like that. The only people who are objecting is the parents that have ugly daughters? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
All right. Well, there's the there's the other extreme. We've had the extremes there. Let's see if we can pull up when I go to line 17. Charlie in Florence, you're at 700 WLW.
Hey, Doc, what's up? Hey,
how you
look,
doing?
I listen to that, and then I'll go to the store or I'll go to the mall, and then I'll see these women running around with their 13-year-old daughters that are wearing the real short shorts.
With their ass hanging out.
Yeah, exactly. Why are you want your daughter to come out and be the greatest thing in the world, yet you present her as nothing more than just a little tramp?
No,
come on.
Right. These feminazis like this, she objects to a shirt like this, but she's not saying, well, not Lisa, but a lot of other ones, they'd object to this. But they have no problem with my ass is juicy. It says so all across the bottom.
Hey, there's some pink around here. Are you kidding me?
Yeah,
Come
I know.
on.
They're fine with using it when it benefits them. That's the one thing that Butcher kind of alluded to. Often the feminazis like that, the people who are feminists, are more than happy to use it when it benefits them. Then it's okay if I wear clothes. The one thing that ticks me off, though, is they wear the shirts that are down to their navel, leaving very little to the imagination. And if your eyes drop below that horizon line on their face, and they... staring at my chest. How dare you look at my chest? How can I avoid it? No, it's like a bright light coming at me. How can I avoid it? If you're that offended, don't have them hanging out. All right, more of your thoughts coming up next. 700 WLW. Doc Thompson on the big one, 700 WLW. Oh, yeah, the emails and phone calls are coming in. Yeah, I think we can agree that on some level, Lisa's crazy. Dawn suggested that via email. She said, Doc, this same feminist that Scott and Tracy had on there about a month ago, she's just a man-hater. She's nuts. Plus, I think she's a lesbian, which is her prerogative, but she certainly doesn't speak for me. That's nice to hear. Lynn, does she speak for you?
You know what, Doc? I take offense to that last bit of email. You know, why do they have to class people like that as a lesbian? That's ridiculous. That's not why I call
Well, the reason I mentioned that is she may have mentioned that with Scott and Sloaney and Tracy. She may have mentioned it. The way Dawn worded her email made me think
really.
that. Yeah, if she was just
Tracy,
saying...
I mean, they bring out the worst in everybody. But
well, that's true.
On the subject, you know, I know men, boys and men are boys and men. They can't help it the way they are. And women put it out there from the 5th grade on. I mean, I see it every day. I'm a school bus driver, and I see it every day on the sidewalk how young girls put it right out there for the boys to see. And I understand that boys are boys. They can't help the way they are. But girls have lowered themselves to a point that's unimaginable, and parents have a lot to do with that because they don't instill a respectful factor in their girls from day to day. But I'm going to say this, it will never, ever be an equal world. Men will always make more than women. As far as college, it's totally up to the men. As far as the ratio men to women in college, it's a free world. Men can go to college just as much as women. So I don't agree with that point. Well,
actually, the trick is, Lynn, it's you get college points when it comes to entrance if you are a minority, if you're a woman, all these things. So that's not exactly right, and that is a misnomer about men making more money than women. In fact, I'll
it's not.
No, it really is.
Not.
Lynn,
No, it's not.
Lynn,
It happens every day in everything.
Lynn, I'm going to explain it coming up. The problem is you, like a lot of people, in fact, most of society have just been brainwashed to believe that women make less than men. That is not the truth. That is an outright lie, and I will prove it to you coming up. That's just something, you want to talk about brainwash, that's something we have been brainwashed to believe. It is not the case. Get to some more calls coming up. 513-749-7800, the big one, pound 700 on AT&T. Are you bothered by a shirt like that? Would you put it on your daughter? I'm just too pretty to do homework, so my brother has to do it for me. Or do you recognize it's a joke? Got an email from Lance. He said, equal my ass. Said, women aren't equal to men. Can she pee standing up? And I responded back to him, yes. She's just not directional, that's all. Your call's on the way. 700 WL. Doc Thompson at 700 WLW. Coming up at 10:52 this morning, as we do on every Friday about that time. Our headlines of the week, just the best ones from around the globe. They're pretty ridiculous. I'm going to get to the study that shows that women don't make less money than men. I'll explain that coming up. But to the point that that we were talking about just a little bit ago, I talked to a clinical psychologist on the air one time. She was an author. She had some other researchers who'd worked with her on a book that she had written, and this was about 10 years ago. She said, Doc, you got to remember something about the traditional male and female. Yeah, there are a lot of factors that go into the way you and I interact and act in society. We have thoughts. We're not just animals. It's not just the animal kingdom, but she said, you've got to remember that men are the aggressors when it comes to seeking out a mate. Traditionally, for the most part, men are the aggressors. So men have a desire to, her words, plant their seed. This is what they do. And this is part of the reason that usually men will go after younger, prettier women because they try to find the woman that is most likely to be able to carry on their DNA. Young and vital and attractive. She said that's what they search out. Women, on the other hand, traditionally, and this is built into us, attract men like a flower. Pretty smells, pretty looking, come pay attention to me. To try to bring in the strong, virile, slightly older male who, once they have a child, can protect them. Protect them physically from outside harm. Have good, strong genes that will, not carry disease and stuff like that, but also protect them financially, that can provide for them. But when you think about that, women want to be attractive so they can attract the opposite sex. Now, certainly it gets overboard, and when you have, 8-year-old girls that are wearing thongs and stuff so they don't have panty lines, yes, we've gone crazy with that. But you cannot make it an asexual society. It's not going to exist. Sorry. Jason, Coleraine, you're on the big one.
Hey, good morning, Doc. How are you?
How are you, sir?
Oh, pretty good. Hey, that woman you just had on there, she sounded awfully a lot like the woman that Floney and Tracy had on some months ago.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, it was. I just checked with my producer, who she was on. Same thing. No, she was. And I think she was advocating at the time from the same group that men be raped.
Yes, that's what she said. At least once in their life, just so they know what women went through.
Wow. That's crazy. No, you're right. That's the same one. She's obviously nutty. Appreciate the call. Jim on a cell, you're on the big one. Hello, sir.
Hello?
Hello, are you there, sir?
Hello?
Yes, Jim, you're on the air.
Oh, hi, Doc. Sorry about that. I'm just wondering why she's so outraged about a shirt that has a joke on it, an obvious joke, when you have females running around with all these sweatpants with the word pink plastered across the rear end, and you have television shows such as Jersey Shore that advocate these stereotypes. She's not raising hell about that. Why is she so upset about a T-shirt?
Well, you missed a couple things. I pointed out it's clearly a joke. Now, you may not think it's an appropriate joke for your kids, but it's a joke. Come on, we've got to start laughing at this stuff. Laugh. You may not appreciate the joke, but move on if you don't appreciate it. Instead of saying that's outrageous, don't talk about horrible thing. It's like when people makes a joke that people say could be a violent or bring up violent imagery or whatever. It was a joke. If you don't like it, move on. But she misses some other point with this shirt. As much as I don't like the fact that, young girls have been sexualized, like I said, the thongs for 6 and 8-year-old girls and stuff like that. There is a certain empowerment that comes along with women saying, hey, guess what? I have changed the status quo where if a woman goes out and sleeps around, she's not a slut. She's the same as a man who goes out and sleeps around. And if you're somebody that thinks sleeping around is wrong and makes you a slut, that should be the case for both men and women. Something to be said for that. Lois in Kenwood, you're on the big one.
Good morning. Hope you're having a good day. This is kind of funny, but, I understand they're doing wonderful work with mental patients.
I should have given her the number, right?
Yes, exactly. Anyway, what I think is what you said last is kind of funny. I came across this TV show where these little tiny girls, 3-4 years old, the mothers are pimping them up and putting makeup on them, and it's a joke.
No, and that's the reason I brought up the parents thing, too. I mean, ultimately it comes down. It's not JCPenney's responsibility, nor any other, seller of consumer goods to decide what's right for your kid. That's your job, Lois.
That's exactly right. I had a daughter and a son, and that was my job and my husband's job. We did it together. Not, well, I'm the man, I'm overpowering, and I'm the little house. No, we did it together. And I think that's kind of what's wrong with society, too. Mm-hmm. The man is domineering. My husband was not domineering. He was a good man, and we worked together with our kids.
No, that's exactly it.
Awesome. Mm-hmm.
I remember as a kid, Lois, we were in some store, my folks and I was only about 8 years old or something like that, and we're digging through this big pallet of T-shirts. We were at some place where it was cheap stuff because my mom was wanting not to spend a lot of money on her 5 kids. So we're digging through these T-shirts, and I found one. She was like, you like this one? Like, yeah, okay. You like this one? Yeah, all right. It was the, 70s, so I'm sure there was one that said Camaro and rainbow and glossy, whatever. And there was one, and I can't even remember what it said, but it had a picture of a devil on it. And it wasn't sexual or anything like that, but there was a devil on it. It was a little bit, I don't know, I guess promoting devil. It wasn't like devil worship or anything, but it was borderline enough. She's like, you're not getting that. That's not appropriate. And we moved on. There it was. Parent making a decision. Like I said, it wasn't even horrible. It was nothing outrageous. I think it said, come my way or something like that, like be devilish type thing. She's, you're not getting that. It's not appropriate. You're 8, done, move on. She's like, when you're 18, you can make your decisions. All right, coming up next, more of your calls, 513-749-7800, the big one, pound 700 AT&T. And I'll also share with you the study that says you've been brainwashed into believing that women make less money than men. It's coming up next on 700 WLW. Doc Thompson on the big one, 700 WLW. Coming up today on the big show with Bill Cunningham, Willie talks about the pipeline to the L.A. gangs that is Hamilton, Ohio. Hamilton, Ohio, the pipeline for drugs. Willie will have it today at 1:06 on 700 WLW. There are a lot of misnomers out there, a lot of things that we have been led to believe because it's good marketing. Because of good marketing from certain groups who are financially benefiting from it because they get more power or stature in the world, politically benefiting from it, whatever. Things like women make less money than men. It's just accepted. One of the others is that teachers don't get paid enough. Many teachers do not get paid enough. Some get paid pretty well, depending on where you are. Women don't make as much as men. That's simply not true. At one point, it was probably true for various reasons, even the fact that they had different plumbing than men. But that is not the truth now. When you actually look at all of the information, it actually evens out or even reverses where women make more money than men. When relevant factors are all taken into account, and you make the comparisons between men and women in similar circumstances, and there's the key, similar circumstances, not just similar jobs, not just, hi, my name's Doc, and Sarah works with me. We do the exact same job at the exact same time, but because I have a penis and she has a vagina, she makes 10% less. That is not the case. When we are in the same circumstances, it evens out, and in many cases, women make more money than men. A 2010 study from the research firm, from the firm Research Advisors. This is 2010, just last year. When they studied single, childless urban workers between the ages of 22 and 23, just as one example from their study, single, childless urban workers between the ages of 22 and 30, women earned an average of 8% more than their male counterparts. What they like to throw in is all of these comparisons where there aren't much of a comparison. For example, they'll take two people in a position and they'll say, man and woman, they make less. But what they don't say is men usually work more hours than women. According to the Department of Labor, full-time working women spend an average of 8.01 hours per day on the job. Literally just over 8 hours a day on the job. Men work almost 9 hours a day on the job. 9% more than women. Wouldn't you expect at the end of the day they're going to make a little bit more? Yeah. But then you also have to look at choice of occupation. Women have gravitated over the years, and still do, towards jobs with fewer risks, more comfortable conditions, regular hours, more personal fulfillment, and greater flexibility. All of these things that do not pay well. Men are the ones that are gravitating towards jobs with greater risks, less comfortable conditions, not regular hours, less fulfillment, and not a lot of flexibility. And why do they do it? Because they want to earn more money. They're willing to sacrifice to earn more money. One of the other things the feminazis won't tell you when they talk about the disparity between what men and women make is that men suffer overwhelmingly the majority of injuries and deaths at the workplace. It is not even close. Men overwhelmingly suffer most injuries and death in the workplace. They don't bring up that study, do they? They don't tell you that. And because they are putting themselves at risk, like on the show The Deadliest Catch, do you know commercial fishing is the most dangerous occupation in the world? Do you see a lot of women doing it? No. It's dangerous. Men are willing to sacrifice and take that chance. Men take on the jobs that involve physical labor, outdoor work, overnight shifts, dangerous conditions. So if you compare those to a lady who's sitting in an office 9 to 5, he's probably going to make a little bit more. When you compare similar jobs and similar situations, similar hours worked, that gap closes and quite often reverses. It's Doc Thompson, 700 WLW. Doc Thompson on the big one, 700 WLW. Mo coming up at 10:06, talk a little Bengals and also our restaurant review. We're starting. Sloaney and Mo and I out there sampling fare from around the tri-state. I mean, aside from being with Sloaney and Mo, it's a good time. I mean, it's really a good time then. You can see our video. We have it on the blog at 700WLW.com, and Mo and I will discuss it as well. It's Labor Day weekend. Labor Day weekend is traditionally in Ohio the deadliest travel weekend. That's nice to know, isn't it? Would you have thought that it was Labor Day weekend? No, I would have thought New Year's, maybe Thanksgiving because it is one of the busiest travel weekends. Plus, you've also got the winter factor and the turkey, the tryptophan, putting you to sleep there, grandma's pumpkin pie. But no, it's Labor Day. If you tally up the last 10 years in Ohio, Labor Day comes in first with fatalities in the state. In fact, coming up in about 3 minutes until about 6 o'clock tonight is the most deadly time all year. Couple minutes from now till 6. Drive carefully on the roads. The second worst is tomorrow from about 10 to 2 for the weekend. What holidays do you think come in second, third, fourth, whatever for the deadliest travel? 2 of them tie in second. 4th of July and Labor Day. Then third, Memorial Day, which is odd because you're still not got to the winter ones, right? I mean, Thanksgiving, kind of. Then you get to Christmas and New Year's. They even led us to believe that New Year's is drinking and driving, be careful, drunks. And certainly that is. Maybe it's been affected because of that campaign, the public service, don't drink and drive on New Year's. But Labor Day the worst, 4th of July and Thanksgiving tie at second, then Memorial Day, Christmas, and New Year's. Be extra careful between now and 6 o'clock tonight. It's Doc Thompson, home of the Reds, 700 WL.